What if I told you that the biggest secret behind Taylor Swift's success was never hidden from the world, but almost everyone overlooked it? When people hear the name Taylor Swift today, they think of sold-out stadiums, chart-topping albums, and millions of fans singing every word back to her. It almost feels as if she was destined for greatness from the very beginning. But the truth is, there was a time when she was simply a young girl with a guitar, a notebook, and a dream so big that most people would have called it impossible. Long before the flashing cameras, the awards, and the world tours, Taylor spent countless hours writing lyrics inspired by everyday life. While many children were busy playing outside, she was learning how stories could become songs and how songs could become memories that people carried with them forever. She didn't know if anyone would ever hear the words she wrote. She didn't know if those melodies would ever leave the pages of her notebook. All she knew was that something deep inside kept telling her not to stop. It wasn't fame that pushed her. It wasn't money. And it certainly wasn't a guarantee of success. It was a belief, a quiet but powerful belief, that her voice had a place in the world, even if no one else could hear it yet. That belief would soon lead her and her family to make a decision that changed the course of her life forever. Because sometimes, the first step toward an extraordinary future begins long before anyone is watching. And for Taylor Swift, that first step was only the beginning. Dreams have a price. And sometimes, the first people who have to believe in them are your own family. As Taylor's passion for music grew stronger, it became clear that simply dreaming wouldn't be enough. She wanted to be where the music was being made, where songwriters gathered, and where young artists fought for a chance to be heard. It was a bold idea. An uncertain one. There were no promises. No guarantees that anyone would ever give her an opportunity. Yet her family made a decision that would change everything. They chose to leave behind the familiar and move closer to Nashville, the heart of country music, so Taylor could pursue the dream she refused to let go of. For many, it sounded like an incredible risk. Thousands of talented singers arrived in Nashville every year, each hoping to become the next big star. Most never did. Taylor knew she wasn't the only one chasing the spotlight. She was stepping into a world filled with extraordinary talent, fierce competition, and countless stories of people whose dreams never came true. But instead of feeling intimidated, she became even more determined. Every new street, every recording studio, every songwriter she met reminded her that she was one step closer to the future she had imagined for so long. Still, getting closer to the dream wasn't the same as achieving it. Because just when it seemed like she was finally in the right place, reality would test her in ways she never expected. And the next challenge would force Taylor to prove that wanting success and working for it are two very different things. Success has a way of looking effortless. But behind almost every success story are countless moments that no one ever sees. For Taylor, moving closer to Nashville wasn't the ending of her journey. It was only the beginning. Every day brought another opportunity, but also another challenge. There were auditions to attend, people to meet, songs to write, and moments where all she could do was hope that someone would believe in her talent. The music industry wasn't waiting for her. It was filled with artists chasing the exact same dream. Many had stronger connections. Some had more experience. Others had been trying for years. Taylor quickly realized that having a dream wasn't enough. She had to become better. She spent more time writing, more time practicing, more time learning how to turn real emotions into songs that people could truly feel. While others saw obstacles, she saw lessons. Every conversation taught her something. Every disappointment gave her another reason to improve. She refused to let rejection become the end of her story. Instead, she treated every closed door as motivation to keep knocking. Most people would never notice those quiet moments. The long hours. The uncertainty. The days when nothing seemed to happen. But those moments were shaping something far greater than anyone realized. Because sometimes, The biggest breakthroughs are built in complete silence. And just when it seemed like Taylor was still another unknown dreamer in a city full of hopeful artists, one opportunity appeared. An opportunity that would begin changing everything. But even then, success would come with a price no one could have predicted. Sometimes, a single moment changes everything. Not because the world suddenly notices you, but because someone finally gives you the chance you've been working toward all along. For Taylor, that moment didn't arrive with fireworks or flashing cameras. It came quietly. After years of writing songs, practicing, and refusing to let rejection define her, the music industry slowly began to take notice. People weren't just hearing another young singer. They were hearing someone who could tell stories. Stories about growing up, about friendship, about heartbreak, about dreams. And those stories felt real. They connected with people in a way that couldn't be taught. Before long, Taylor was recording music that reflected her own life, turning ordinary moments into songs that listeners saw themselves in. Then came the performances. At first, the audiences were small. Just a handful of people. Then dozens. Then hundreds. With every show, her confidence grew. And with every song, more people remembered her name. It wasn't luck. It was the result of years of preparation finally meeting an opportunity. But as her fan base began to grow, so did the expectations. The spotlight became brighter. The pressure became heavier. And Taylor was about to discover that becoming successful was only half the battle. Because staying at the top would demand even more than getting there. The world was finally beginning to know Taylor Swift. But no one, not even Taylor herself, could have imagined how much her life was about to change. Success changes everything. One day, you're hoping someone will notice your music. The next, millions of people are listening. For Taylor Swift, the dream she had chased for years was finally becoming reality. Her songs climbed the charts. Concert venues became larger. Fans sang every lyric as if the songs had been written just for them. It was the kind of success most artists spend a lifetime hoping to achieve. But with every new achievement came something else. Pressure. The world wasn't just listening anymore. It was watching. Every new song was analyzed. Every interview made headlines. Every decision became a topic of conversation. The higher Taylor climbed, the louder the voices around her became. Some celebrated her. Others criticized her. Some believed every new album would be even better than the last. Others waited for the moment she might stumble. For many people, that kind of attention would have been overwhelming. But Taylor discovered something important. She couldn't control what everyone thought. She could only control the work she put into her music. So instead of allowing the pressure to silence her, she kept writing. She kept creating. She kept turning real emotions into stories that millions of people could connect with. And that quiet determination would become one of the greatest strengths of her entire career. But the biggest test of all was still waiting. Because sometimes, the hardest challenge isn't reaching the top, it's finding the courage to keep going when the entire world is watching. Just when it seemed like Taylor Swift had everything, life reminded her that success doesn't protect you from hardship. In fact, sometimes, it invites even more of it. As her career reached new heights, so did the spotlight surrounding her. Every move she made was examined. Every word she spoke was discussed. Every decision became a headline. The same people who once celebrated her victories now questioned her every step. For a while, it seemed as though the noise was everywhere. The internet had opinions. The media had opinions. Even people who had never met her believed they knew her story. For many, that kind of pressure would have been enough to walk away. To stop creating. To disappear from the spotlight. But Taylor made a different choice. Instead of letting criticism define her, she returned to the one place where she'd always found clarity. Her songwriting. She poured her thoughts, her experiences, and her emotions into her music, transforming difficult moments into stories that millions of listeners could relate to. What could have become the end of her journey became the beginning of an even stronger chapter. Because every challenge taught her something. Every setback made her more determined. And every obstacle reminded her why she started chasing this dream in the first place. The world thought it knew Taylor Swift. But the truth was, her greatest strength had never been fame. It was her ability to keep moving forward, even when the world expected her to stop. And in the next chapter, the deepest secret behind Taylor Swift's extraordinary success would finally begin to reveal itself. For years, people have asked the same question. What is Taylor Swift's deepest secret? Was it luck? Was it perfect timing? Was it having the right connections? Or was there something the world never noticed? The answer is much simpler than most people expect. Taylor Swift's greatest advantage wasn't something she was born with. It wasn't hidden behind the bright lights of sold-out stadiums. And it certainly wasn't a shortcut to success. It was consistency. While the world only saw the awards, she saw another song that could be written. While people celebrated one successful album, she was already thinking about the next chapter. While others became comfortable with success, Taylor continued learning, growing, and challenging herself as a songwriter and performer. She understood something many people never do. Success isn't built in one extraordinary moment. It's built in thousands of ordinary moments that nobody applauds. The late nights, the rewritten lyrics, the countless hours spent perfecting every detail, the courage to keep creating, even when criticism was louder than applause. Perhaps that was the deepest secret all along. Not a hidden mystery, not an impossible talent, but the decision to show up, again and again, long after the excitement had faded. And maybe that's why millions of people connected with her music. Because behind every song was someone who never stopped believing that tomorrow could be better than today. But there was one final lesson her journey would leave behind. A lesson that had nothing to do with fame, and everything to do with never giving up. So, what was Taylor Swift's deepest secret? After everything we've seen, it wasn't fame. It wasn't fortune. And it wasn't a hidden story that only a few people knew. It was something much more powerful. A dream that refused to fade. A willingness to keep writing when no one was listening. The courage to keep moving forward when success was uncertain. And the discipline to keep growing, even after the world already considered her successful. Today, millions of fans know Taylor Swift as one of the biggest artists in the world. They see the stadiums filled with lights, the awards, the record-breaking albums, and the unforgettable performances. But those moments are only the visible part of a journey that began with a young girl, a guitar, and a notebook filled with dreams. Maybe that's why her story continues to inspire so many people. Because it reminds us that extraordinary achievements rarely happen overnight. They're built one choice at a time. One song at a time. One setback at a time. And one decision. To never stop believing in yourself. Perhaps the greatest secret wasn't hidden from the world at all. It was hiding in plain sight. Inside every lyric she wrote. Every challenge she overcame. And every time she chose to keep going when giving up would have been easier. Because in the end, legends aren't remembered because they never faced obstacles. They're remembered because they refused to let those obstacles write the final chapter of their story. And maybe that's the real secret behind Taylor Swift's success. The question is, what dream are you willing to keep chasing, even when no one else can see where it's leading?